Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for standing by. Welcome to Alibaba Group's December quarter 2022 results conference call. At this time, all participants are on listen-only mode. After management's prepared remarks, there will be a Q&A session. I would now like to turn the call over to Rob Lin, Head of Investor Relations of Alibaba Group. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good day, everyone, and welcome to Alibaba Group's December quarter 2022 results conference call. With us today are Zhang, Chairman and CEO, Joe Tsai, Executive Vice Chairman, Toby Xu, CFO. This call is also being webcasted from the IR section of our corporate website. A replay of the call will be available on our website later today. Now let me quickly cover the safe harbor. Today's discussion may contain forward-looking statements. Forward-looking statements involve inherent risks and uncertainties that may cause actual results to differ materially from our current expectations. For detailed discussion of these risks and uncertainties, please refer to our latest annual report on Form 20-F and other documents filed with the U.S. SEC, or announced on the website of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Any forward-looking statements that we make on this call are based on assumption as of today, and we do not undertake any obligation to update these statements, except as required under applicable law. Please note that certain financial measures that we use on this call, such as adjusted EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA margin, adjusted EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA margin, non-GAAP net income, non-GAAP diluted earnings per share, or ADS, and free cash flow, are expressed on a non-GAAP basis. Our GAAP results and reconciliation of GAAP to non-GAAP measure can be found in our earnings press release. Unless otherwise stated, growth rate of all the metrics mentioned on this call refer to year-over-year growth versus the same quarter last year. With that, I will now turn to Daniel.
Thanks, Rob. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our earnings call today. This past quarter, our business and operations experienced significant challenge due to the rapid change in the COVID situation during December. Despite these challenges, we delivered double-digit year-on-year growth in our adjusted EBITDA and the free cash flow through effective business management, cost optimization, and operating efficiency. With the lifting of COVID-related measures at the end of peak wave, everything is now quickly getting back on track. In general, consumer confidence and business confidence are rising. Logistics has resumed normal operations, with the entire supply and manufacturing chains becoming active. Digital transformation across different industries and sectors has accelerated significantly. Against this backdrop, our various businesses are showing positive trends. Recently, the IMF raised the estimated GDP growth for China to 5.2% this year. Given the expectation for economic recovery following the lifting of COVID-related measures and China's reopening, I have chosen progress as a key word internally to set the tone for Alibaba's development this year. We need to respond quickly to the change in the macro environment and the major cycles. The theme of progress represents the need to adapt to the trends in the macro environment and for Alibaba's own development. In China's post-COVID economic development, although different businesses across our complex ecosystem face their own unique circumstances, we remain confident in our three main strategic pillars of consumption, cloud computing, and globalization. Now I will share how our business performed this past quarter in a difficult COVID environment, together with some color on the situation in January and February, and how we plan to capture opportunities across our businesses. During December quarter, the China consumer market was highly impacted by COVID cases. Taobao and Tmall GMV dropped mid-single digit year-on-year, and the consumption demand was greatly suppressed. In terms of category, apparel and other discretionary goods were weak, while healthcare and wellness-related grew strongly. This is consistent with the data trend released by the National Bureau of Statistics of China. From January to early February of this year, overall sales of online physical goods remained weak, and our China commerce continued to be highly impacted due to COVID cases, as well as people traveling home or to other places during the Spring Festival holidays. But as the influence of COVID cases at the Spring Festival travel subsided in February, especially recovery in categories such as apparel and sports and outdoors, as work and life returned to normal. All of our merchants have also expressed their strong desire to get to business. We expect this recovery will continue. In our operations, we are strengthening the user experience and customer value proposition on Taobao and Tmall to reinforce our market leadership with the following measures. First, enhance user stickiness and time spent. Taobao and Tmall are home to China's most comprehensive population of online shoppers and is the most efficient consumer transaction platform. We are building on our competitive advantage by continuing to introduce a wide variety of consumption-related contents in the form of short-form video, live streaming, and other formats to strengthen consumer stickiness, product discovery, influence, and user engagement. Second, enhance value for money proposition. Price is always a key factor in consumer purchasing decisions. We will continue to improve competitive pricing on products through the design of marketplace mechanisms, promotional marketing features, and the retail model innovations such as Taobao deals direct from factory goods and farm-to-table offerings. Third, neighborhood digital retail. We will cater to consumers' time-sensitive needs for high-frequency everyday necessities through our neighborhood digital retail business, such as Taoxianda and Taocaicai, that fulfill orders from local supply chains using local deliveries. In local consumer services, Ele.me's restaurant order volume growth rate picked up towards the end of this quarter due to increased home-based consumption from COVID cases. Notably, non-restaurant order volume growth rate was far higher than what it was for restaurants. The business saw an increase in revenue due to higher average order value. Ongoing improvements in operating efficiency resulted in lower expense ratios in marketing and logistics. Ele.me continued to demonstrate positive unit economics, and it will continue to improve. During COVID, Ele.me adjusted operating strategies, safeguarded its delivery capabilities, and supported supply recovery. During peak COVID cases, AMAP's user scale and scale of services used were greatly affected. As cases eased, usage of AMAP quickly recovered. Ride-hailing and hotel room booking volume grew very rapidly. AMAP has become a new platform providing various destination-based consumer services. Fliggy's domestic and outbound travel activity also quickly grew during the Spring Festival holidays. As a result of our ongoing development of the supply chain and the service capability over the past 2 years, recovery of Fliggy's domestic airplane ticket and hotel booking was significantly faster than the overall domestic travel performance reported by the China National Tourism Administration, and noticeably better in comparison to 2019 before the COVID outbreak. In international commerce, our various business made steady progress. Cainiao continued to deliver strong growth as overall order volume grew over 50% year-on-year, with local consumer services growing even faster. When Turkey was suddenly hit by earthquakes in early February, we actively organized and delivered support for emergency relief. So far, all our employees in Turkey are safe. Cainiao's business operations remain stable, and they have mobilized resources to aid disaster relief. As for Lazada, as the business continued to optimize for order volume growth, they also reduced loss per order by more than 30% year-on-year. We remain firmly committed to continuing to invest in Lazada's region of Southeast Asia. Through close collaboration with Cainiao, AliExpress greatly optimized time-bound order deliveries on key routes. As logistics services quality continued to improve and the impact of VAT and the foreign exchange rate in Spain and France continued to ease, AliExpress order volume is starting to show positive growth. Our globalization strategy will continue to be firmly focused on Southeast Asia and Europe through a mix of localized retail and cross-border commerce. We will continue to make sustainable long-term investments and build businesses that can withstand economic cycles. Cainiao is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year. It has built a robust, comprehensive business covering China and cross-border international logistics, last mile, logistic technology, and more. It is also continuing to make progress in green logistics and emergency response logistics. In China, Cainiao continued to expand its doorstep delivery services for our Taobao and Tmall customers. During the most recent November 11, more than 18 million orders from Taobao and Tmall were delivered to customers' doorsteps daily at its peak, which includes those delivered directly to doorsteps through Cainiao Post location in residential communities. Cainiao has also built its own international logistics network over the past few years. As of this past quarter, it had more than 15 international sorting centers in operation. Our cloud business overall revenue growth rate this quarter was 3% year-on-year. The growth rate for public cloud was double-digit year-on-year, which was partially offset by a decline in hybrid cloud revenue from project delays due to COVID. In terms of revenue by industry, financial services, education, and automobiles are among the growth drivers. We also announced an important organizational change towards the end of last year. I took on the role of acting president of Alibaba Cloud in addition to my current role as chairman and CEO of Alibaba Group. This decision was based on a few considerations. First, cloud computing is one of the Alibaba's core strategies for the future. Innovation and other technologies will have an impact not just on Alibaba Cloud, but the entire Alibaba Group. Second, Alibaba Cloud is also the foundation through which Alibaba serves the real economy and will continue to drive physical-digital integration. Third, we believe this is a critical period for technological breakthrough and the development in the nexus of cloud computing and AI. As one of the leading cloud computing service providers globally, we strongly believe in the vast potential of industrial digitalization and the role of cloud computing as infrastructure to the digital economy. Going forward, we will focus on a few areas to reinforce and strengthen our market leadership position as we look at opportunities ahead. First, enhance the stability and the security of our cloud computing services while continuing to optimize performance and manage costs through technology advancement. Second, continue to build a dynamic developers and industry ecosystem for cloud computing. Third, collaborate with partners to provide intelligence-based industry solutions to our customers in different industries and sectors. Fourth, continue to push forward a holistic cloud-based service product that integrates DingTalk, our intelligent online workplace collaboration platform and application development platform. Lastly, in this exciting era of disruptive breakthroughs initiated by generative AI, computer power is essential. On one hand, we will continue building our own large-scale pre-training model. We are also ready to capture the market opportunities to provide the computing power for the various generative AI models and its applications. This year marks Alibaba Group's 24th year, and in Chinese traditional culture, this means we have gone through 2 complete calendar cycles. We captured 2 historical opportunities of e-commerce in China for the consumer internet and the start to cloud computing in China for the industrial internet. We will continue to capture the vast opportunities ahead through the impact of technology on commerce and other facets of our society and environment. Although there are many uncertainties in the journey ahead that are very difficult to evaluate, we remain highly confident in the future of Alibaba and China's development. Thank you, everyone. Let me pass the microphone to Toby, who will share our financial results.
Thank you, Daniel. Let me start with financial highlights for the quarter. This quarter, our total revenue was RMB 248 billion, an increase of 2% year-over-year. Income from operations was RMB 35 billion, an increase of RMB 28 billion year-over-year, mainly driven by a RMB 22.4 billion decrease in impairment of goodwill in relation to digital media and entertainment segment, and an RMB 7.2 billion increase in adjusted EBITDA. During December quarter, we have continued to improve operating performance of our loss-making businesses by enhancing operating efficiency and optimizing costs that resulted in 16% year-over-year increase in adjusted EBITDA to RMB 52 billion. Overall adjusted EBITDA margin improved by 3 percentage points to 21%. Now let's look at cost trends as a percentage of revenue excluding SBC. Cost of revenue ratio remains stable year-over-year at 60% in December quarter. Our direct sales businesses and logistics services continue to grow, driving up our cost of inventory and logistics, but we were able to keep our cost of revenue ratio stable primarily through optimizing content cost, traffic acquisition, and improving operation efficiency. Product development expenses ratio remained stable during the quarter. Sales and marketing expenses ratio decreased 3 percentage points year-over-year to 12% in December quarter, reflecting our continued effort in optimizing user acquisition and user retention spending across businesses. General and administrative expenses ratio remained stable at 3% in December quarter. Non-GAAP net income was RMB 49.9 billion, an increase of RMB 5.3 billion or 12% year-over-year, mainly due to increase in adjusted EBITDA, partly offset by decrease in equity pickup of our equity method investees results. Our GAAP net income was RMB 45.7 billion, an increase of RMB 26.5 billion year-over-year, primarily due to the increase in non-GAAP net income and the RMB 22.4 billion decrease in goodwill impairment mentioned earlier. As of December 31st, 2022, we continue to maintain a strong net cash position of 379 billion RMB, or $55 billion. Our strong net cash position is supported by healthy cash flow generation. In December 2022 quarter, cash from operating activities was RMB 87 billion, and free cash flow were RMB 82 billion, respectively, which were up by RMB 7 billion and RMB 10 billion versus a year ago. Majority of the difference between operating cash flow and the free cash flow was operating capex at RMB 5.8 billion, down by RMB 3.5 billion versus a year ago. Net cash inflow from investment and acquisition activities, including disposals, was RMB 1.9 billion, compared to an outflow of RMB 4.7 billion in the same period last year. Importantly, we have continued to enhance returns to shareholders through share repurchases, given our strong balance sheet and free cash flow generation capability. During the quarter, we repurchased approximately 45.4 million of our ADSs for approximately $3.3 billion under our share repurchase program. Now let's look at our segment results. Revenue from China Commerce segment in December quarter was RMB 170 billion, a decrease of 1% year-over-year. Customer management revenue decreased by 9% year-over-year to RMB 91.3 billion. Taobao and Tmall online physical goods pay GMV declined by mid-single digit. Customer management revenue declined a few percentage points further versus pay GMV, mainly due to higher order cancellation rates as a result of supply chain and logistics disruption caused by COVID-related impacts. Direct sales and others revenue grew 10% to RMB 74 billion, primarily driven by strong growth of our Freshippo and Alibaba Health's direct sales businesses. China Commerce segment adjusted EBITDA increased by RMB 749 million to RMB 58.6 billion in December quarter. Segment EBITDA margin remained stable at 34%. This reflected significant loss reductions from Taobao Deal, Freshippo, and Taocaicai, partly offset by decrease in profit from customer management services. Our international commerce segment revenue in December quarter was RMB 19.5 billion, an increase of 18% year-over-year. Revenue from international commerce retail business increased by 26% to RMB 14.6 billion. The increase was primarily driven by accelerated revenue growth of Trendyol as a result of its strong order growth and more efficient use of subsidies. Lazada and AliExpress also saw recovered revenue growth this quarter. Revenue from our Alibaba.com wholesale business remained stable year-over-year. International commerce segment adjusted EBITDA loss narrowed by RMB 2.2 billion to RMB 763 million in December quarter. The loss reduction year-over-year was primarily contributed by the reduced losses from Trendyol and Lazada. Trendyol continues to generate strong revenue growth and have enhanced operating efficiency. Continued narrowing of losses from Lazada was a result of ongoing improvement in monetization rate by offering more value-added services, as well as enhanced operating efficiency. Our local consumer services segment revenue in December quarter grew 6% to RMB 13 billion, primarily due to positive GMV growth of to-home business, driven by higher average order value of Ele.me. Local consumer services adjusted EBITDA loss reduced by RMB 1.9 billion year-over-year to RMB 3.1 billion. Most of the loss reduction was driven by Ele.me business, while other major businesses within this segment also saw recorded reduced losses. Ele.me continued to improve its unit economics per order by increasing average order value, reducing delivery cost per order. Its UE continued to improve year-over-year and remained positive this quarter. Revenue from Cainiao after inter-segment elimination grew 27% year-over-year to RMB 16.6 billion, primarily contributed by the increase in revenue from domestic customer logistics service as a result of service model upgrade since later 2021 to enhance consumer experience, as well as increase in revenue from international fulfillment solution services. In December quarter, 72% of Cainiao's total revenue was generated from external customers. Cainiao recorded adjusted EBITDA loss of RMB 12 million in December quarter. Loss reduced by RMB 80 million year-over-year. Revenue from cloud segment after inter-segment elimination was RMB 20.2 billion in December quarter, an increase of 3%, mainly driven by healthy double-digit public cloud growth, partially offset by declining hybrid cloud revenue as we continue to drive high-quality recurring revenue growth. Revenue growth from non-internet industries was 9% and contributed 53% of overall cloud revenue. The non-internet revenue growth was mainly driven by solid growth of financial services, education, automobile industries, which was partially offset by the decline in public services industry. Revenue from customers in the internet industry declined by 4%, mainly driven by declining revenue from the top internet customer that has gradually stopped using our overseas cloud services for its international business. On the other hand, we saw improving demands from internet customers in December quarter. Adjusted EBITDA of cloud segment, which comprised of Alibaba Cloud and DingTalk, was a profit of RMB 356 million in December quarter, increased by RMB 222 million year-over-year. Revenue from our digital media and entertainment segment in December quarter was RMB 7.6 billion, a decrease of 6%, primarily due to the decrease in revenue from Alibaba Pictures. Adjusted EBITDA was a loss of RMB 25 million, reduced by RMB 1.3 billion year-over-year, primarily due to the narrowing of loss from Youku, driven by disciplined investment in content and production capability. Let me wrap up with some final thoughts. Our December earnings result continue to demonstrate our ability to execute and achieve the key operating and financial objectives we have set since the beginning of the fiscal year. Despite another quarter of global macro and COVID uncertainties that weighed on our revenue growth, we have continued to focus on higher quality growth supported by consumers and customer-centric initiatives. improved operating efficiency and cost structure throughout the organization, enhanced shareholders' return through ongoing share repurchases. Consistency and persistence were key factors to our success in delivering these results in a challenging 2022. As Daniel mentioned, we believe 2023 will be a year of progress for Alibaba. It is expected that China's economic activity will recover in 2023, which would catalyze and stimulate a gradual consumption recovery. In 2022, we have strengthened our operational and financial capabilities. We are confident that those enhancements will position us well to benefit from China's recovery. We exited 2022 with a strong financial position of $55 billion in net cash, allowing us the financial flexibility to grow our businesses and improve returns for key stakeholders, including shareholders. In 2023, we intend to increase investments in major businesses that improve their competitive position and growth prospects while maintaining our mindset of enhanced operating efficiency. Thank you. Now let's turn to Q&A.
For today's call, you are welcome to ask questions in Chinese or English. A third-party translator will provide consecutive interpretation for the Q&A session, and our manager will address your question in the language you ask. Please know that the translation is for convenience purpose only. In the case of any discrepancy, our management statement in the original language will prevail. If you are unable to hear the Chinese translation, bilingual transcripts of this call will be available on our website within 1 week after the meeting. 大家好，今天的电话会议欢迎您用中文或英文提问，我们会有第三方公众人员提供实时的翻译。我们管理层会按您提供的语言回答您的问题，翻译目的方便大家理解，主要任何疑义，请以我们管理层原始语言所做的陈述为准。如您无法听到中文翻译，本次电话会议的双语记录将会在会议结束后的1周内在我们的网站提供。Now, operator, please connect the speaker and SI conference lines. Please start the Q&A session when ready. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer session. If you wish to ask a question, please press the star key followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. To give more people the opportunity to ask questions, please keep yourself to no more than 1 question at a time. Your first question comes from Alex Yao from JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
谢谢管理层给我这个提问的机会啊。我想问一个长期的问题，然后再请教一个短期的问题。第一个关于长期的问题，就像 Daniel 您说，阿里已经成立到现在有24年了，两轮，中文里面的2轮啊。那在这20多年里面，咱们领导了中国的数字化的大流通、数字化的大物流和数字化的大计算。那在未来的3到5年里面，咱们阿里巴巴计划深度参与的数字化领域有哪些？或者换个角度，就像您说的，咱们在过去24年抓住了2个大的机会在中国，一个是电商，一个是云。那么再往前看3到5年的话，有没有新的这个特别大的令我们觉得有很大成长机会的大的赛道和这个产业啊？然后短期的问题就是回到今年的话，我们在互联网看到了新技术的崛起，比如说 ChatGPT， 也同时看到了这个竞争环境的变化，比如说京东开始了他们的100亿补贴。在这样一个机会与挑战并存的时间点，咱们公司怎么考虑进一步发展我们的核心竞争力？然后会不会进一步实施降本增效？ 谢谢。
Thank you very much, management, for taking my questions. I'd like to start by asking a question that addresses the long term, and after that I'll come back to some shorter term questions. But starting with the long term, as you said in your speech, Daniel, Alibaba has now been around for 24 years, marking the completion of 2 complete cycles as per Chinese culture. And through these 2 cycles over the past 20 plus years, Alibaba has captured digitalization enabled opportunities around commerce, around logistics, and around cloud. So looking forward, what do you think will be the next big area or areas where Alibaba can achieve significant growth? As you yourself said, there have been 2 major opportunities that Alibaba has seized in the first 24 years, e-commerce and cloud. But say in the next 3 to 5 years, what will be the big opportunities where you think Alibaba can achieve huge growth? And then coming back to the short term, looking at this year, some of the major developments, we've seen the very rapid success of ChatGPT, as well as some important changes in the competitive environment with opportunities and challenges. How do you see Alibaba better marshaling its core competitiveness in the short term, and will part of that involve further optimization of costs and driving of operational efficiencies? Thank you.
好，谢谢 Alex。我一个一个来讲一下。第一个呢，确实今天就是就刚才讲的一样，我们在这个过去20几年，在数字化流通数字化的物流和这个数字化的计算在着重做这3件事情这个对阿里巴巴来讲，这也是映射了我们的长期战略，就是消费这个云计算和全球化这个其实我们的全球化也是消费和云计算的全球化，所以我们还是会展望未来，还是坚持会在这3个大的顶层战略下继续前进。
Thank you, Alex, and I will take those questions one by one. First, indeed, over the past 20 plus years, the major opportunities for us that we've seized have been around applying digital technology to commerce, logistics, and cloud computing, and this is indeed the long-term strategy of Alibaba. We remain firmly committed, as always, to our 3 core strategies around consumption, cloud, and globalization. And when we talk about globalization, it is indeed globalization of our consumption and cloud-based offerings. So we will remain firmly committed to those core strategies.
为什么我们继续对未来还是在这个过去的这个基础上，还是坚持这3个战略，而不是去寻找所谓的新的战略赛道？是因为我们认为这3个战略的天花板足够高这个市场足够大。而今天我们在这个不断的技术演进当中，仍然能找到一个巨大的机会这个我一个一个阐述一下。这个比如说对消费赛道来讲今天如果大家对中国的这个增长的机会对未来这个中国的 GDP 的发展，这个以今年这个 IMF 的估计，以5%的速度，如果这个未来坚持10年的话，大家可以想象这个中国的 GDP 的这个绝对数会多大。同时有一点是肯定的，如果要做到这样的一个连续10年的5%增长，中国的消费一定在中间比重会越来越大这个中国现在40几万亿的这个社零总额一定占到这个110几万亿的这个 GDP 的比重，在未来几年的相对比重一定会更大。同时在这个中间，技术带来的数字化流动的机会，随着技术的演进会深入的发展今天我们看到这个20年前的电商和10年前的电商和现在我们在做的电商已经完全不一样尤其是疫情以后，其实我们前几年说的所有的这个零售都会数字化已经实现，但是面向未来，包括像你刚才说到的这个以生成化的 AI 为代表的新一代的技术的应用，在这个领域的应用一定会带来全新的数字化的形式和用户的体验包括我们想在消费侧，它绝对的变革不只是在这个消费者的 变化上，同时供应链的变革因为数字化、智能化的驱动，对供应链的变革带来的这个深层次的影响才刚刚开始。我先这里停一下。
Why going forward will Alibaba continue to remain focused on those three core strategies and not seek out new arenas in which to compete? Well, very simply, it's because we think that in those three areas, the ceiling is high enough and the market is big enough. There's more than enough for us to accomplish there, especially as we continue to evolve our technology. We're confident that we can continue to find huge opportunities in those three core areas, and we can look at them one by one. Beginning with consumption. If you look at the size of consumption in China today as a percentage of GDP, and you think about the latest forecast from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, of 5% economic growth in China, imagine what China's GDP numbers will look like if that can be maintained, 5% per annum growth for a period of 10 years. And if China's economy does grow by 5% a year for 10 years, you can certainly imagine that the proportion or the size of the contribution of consumption in China within GDP, so we're talking about 40 trillion yuan today against 110 trillion yuan, that proportion will certainly be even higher 10 years down the road. Turning to technology, we can look back at the trajectory that we've already traveled through. 20 years ago, 10 years ago, e-commerce has taken on a completely different look. It's continued to evolve. And we said in the past that we would digitalize commerce in China. Well, that's now being completely accomplished. But looking to the future, we now have these exciting new technologies coming to the fore, including generative AI, which you mentioned. And I think that certainly will also be transformative and create new experiences and new formats of consumption. But this digitalization, when it comes to consumption, is not just having an impact on the consumer side, it's also having an impact on supply chains and the way they're organized. And I think that really is just getting started.
对，如果从云计算来讲，其实这个中国的这个云计算才刚刚开始跟美国来比的话，比如说今天我们中国的这个 IT 支出占 GDP 的比重中国是1%，美国是5%，而云化在其中在 IT 的支出的比重这个才15%，中国是15%，美国是21%，这些都是 IDC 的数据这两个这个 IT 占到整个的 GDP 的比重和云化在 IT 中的比重，光这两个变量的变化就可以带来一个巨大的机会更何况今天这个随着这个技术的发展其实这个包括刚才讲到的这个 generative AI 和其他的 cutting edge technology 的出现包括我们前一段时间讨论的这个包括 VR 这些的体验其实都会带来巨大的算力的需求，它的针对算力的需求的增长是一个几何级数的增长。那我们作为这个全球的领先的云计算厂商，我们认为这个游戏才刚刚开始所以我们还是对未来这两个这个主题，包括这两个消费和云计算的主题走向全球的市场我想这刚才讲到的所有趋势，其实不仅是中国，也是全球的趋势。而我们无论在这两个赛道，我们都是消费也好，云计算也好，我们都是目前都是中国的领先者，全球的这个第一梯队领先者。我们对未来充满这个信心，也是我们坚持这个我们的既有的3大战略这个不动摇坚定的往前走，拥抱这个新技术，这个用新技术能够跟商业跟这个技术的边界的突破来融会贯通，来继续来这个创造未来的这个新前景。谢谢。
When it comes to cloud computing, this is an industry where China is really just getting started, and you can look at a few figures to support that. First of all, if you look at the proportion of IT spending within total GDP in China, it's only 1%. In the US, it's as high as 5%. And if you look at the proportion of cloud within IT spending numbers, it's 15%. in China today, 21% in the United States. These are figures from ITC. So I think that those two figures represent a huge opportunity for us in China. And of course, as technology continues to develop, as new cutting-edge technologies like generative AI come to the fore, but also VR, virtual reality, which we've discussed before, all of these technologies, as they're deployed, are going to require massive compute power to support them. So we expect to see exponential growth in demand for compute power. So for us as a cloud vendor, I think that story is really just getting started. And of course, these are not just trends in China, but for the world, and we intend to take our offering to the world. We're already the leader in China when it comes to consumption and to cloud computing, and one of the leaders in the world, and we will continue unshakably to be committed to and to pursue those core 3 strategies that we've adopted, while continuing to embrace new technologies and make technological breakthroughs in order to create new and more exciting prospects for Alibaba as a company.
对，然后我简单讲一下您问的第二个问题啊。其实随着这些新的技术的出现，包括市场的新动向啊，其实每天都有新的动向。这个对阿里来讲啊，我们这个把23年定为进步的进的这一年。那我想我们还是要这个追求技术的进步，追求商业的进步啊，追求这个对用户价值的创造啊。这中间我觉得我们还是会积极的去投入，去这个在新的技术领域啊，在新的技术和商业的结合的方式上啊，去创造这个新成果啊，创造新价值啊。这个用新技术创造新商业啊，新技术创造这个新未来啊，这个是我们的这个一贯的方法啊。其实我们一直阿里的20几年发展，我们一直不是用这个低价补贴啊，用这个低水平的竞争去获得市场的领先地位啊。我们相信技术创造的无止境啊，其实技术的可能性啊，这个从不可能到可能啊，会带来商业不可能到可能。所以我想我们在这个上面还是会继续我们一贯的做法啊，坚持啊，通过技术突破来创造新商业、新未来。
And then moving on to your second question about new technologies and developments in the market. And of course, there are always new market developments on a daily basis. But as I said, Alibaba has identified progress as our keyword, as our overarching theme for 2023. We'll be seeking progress in technology, in our business, and also in the ways that we create user value. We will be investing, therefore, to drive progress in new technology and to integrate new technology with business to create new value and new kinds of business with tremendous prospects going into the future. And in fact, that's what Alibaba has always done over the past 20 years. We haven't been a low-price competitor. We haven't been relying on heavy subsidies. We haven't been engaged in low-quality, low-level competition. Rather, we've always invested in technology in the belief that technology can make the impossible become possible, and that can also make business that had been impossible also become possible. So we will continue to seek and drive new technology breakthroughs to open up new frontiers in commerce and in business.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you. The next question is from Ronald Keung from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
谢谢管理层 Daniel、Toby、Rob。那我看这个22年我们整年都是在降本增效。那在23年现在整个宏观复苏，我们有没有看到一些，比如从消费上能看到 GMV 继续的从下降，能不能看到一些恢复？那我们预计这个恢复是什么时候我们能看到，比如整个 GMV 或者 CMR 转正？那在这个环境下，我们今年应该怎么去 balance 这个，比如增速和投资？因为整个可能这个行业今年也有不同的一些补贴啊，其他的同行。那我们今年在这个23年应该怎么去看 GMV 的恢复和我们今年的投入和谢谢。
Thank you. We know that in 2022, a major theme for Alibaba was optimizing cost structure and driving operational efficiencies. Going into 2023, as we've talked about, we can expect to see a pickup in the macroeconomic situation, potentially, hopefully leading to GMV turning positive, GMV growth turning positive again. I'm wondering when you expect to see that happening. At what point can we expect to see positive growth returning in the GMV numbers? And also, how are we going to achieve balance between growth and investment in this new year? Because we know there are people who are engaging in a lot of subsidization behavior in the market. So how are we going to achieve that balance between growth and investment?
好，我讲一下这个，就是对这个整个第一个对于疫情的以后的这个消费的变化，那其实我们和这个也在大家一样也在积极的关注这个变化啊，在我的这个刚才的 script 里边已经把我们观察到的情况尽可能详细的跟大家报告了啊。总体来讲，就是在1月份乃至到春节啊，还是比较挑战啊，因为有疫情的后续影响和这个春节的人口流动和这样的一些挑战。到这个春节以后，特别是元宵节啊，这个以后啊，这个整个情况开始这个随着生活工作恢复正常以后，我们看到明显的这个消费的这个情绪啊，通过用户的主动消费行为表达的还是有明显的变化啊。我们也看到了一些品类的变化，刚才我也讲到了，像服饰啊、运动啊、户外啊这些品类，包括像健康的品类还是继续非常的这个受欢迎啊。这个那另外一方面，其实这个商家的经营意愿啊，这个经过3年的这个不确定性以后啊，这个大家我想所有的商家，其实所有的中国企业吧，都想在新的1年当中大干一场啊，能够这个尽快的不仅恢复正轨，而且把过去3年失去的东西给补回来啊。这个我想是大家共同的愿望，所以商家的经营动力啊，这个主动性也看到提高。所以基于这些变化，当然这到目前来讲啊，这个还只有这个短短的半个月多一些啊，这个我们还是要继续去观察后面的变化。但总体上我们对今年的复苏带来的整体的消费的向好还是保持乐观。那个对于整个的这个市场的竞争啊，特别是像价格补贴这些，其实这个价格补贴不是新鲜事物啊，隔一段时间就会有人这个主动跳出来做一些价格补贴啊，这个希望能够通过这个最后这个能够这个转换局面啊，这个赢得先机啊，这个或者说是能够 turn around。但实际上大家看到，如果看历史的话，既然不是新鲜事物，就能看到历史上这个没有一家人家可以通过自身的这个持续的价格补贴可以 turn around 或者是改变局面。其实最终改变局面还是要靠技术，我刚才讲的技术创新，包括商业机制的创新啊，才能够真正改变局面，真正让商家愿意把他最好的商品、最好的价格给到他的消费者。因为一个人补贴全平台是补贴不过来的啊，只有让商家能够为他的消费者愿意为他的消费者买单，为他的消费者付出，并且这个付出是有长期的可持续的商业回报的啊，这样的话才是一个正循环。那对阿里来讲，我们在这方面肯定有我们的经验啊，我们会充分利用好。第一个，价格肯定是很重要的用户体验，但是我们在这个中间如何利用好平台机制，如何当然也用好我们的市场资源，包括我们的这个 deep pocket 啊，这个我们刚才 Toby 也讲了，我们有550亿美金的 net cash 啊，这个其实这不是钱的问题，这是一个商业能力的问题和是一个技术能力的问题，所以我们还是希望能够在这个上面，这个通过这样的方式啊，能够为用户创造价值啊，这个同时也保持我们在市场的这个领先地位。谢谢。
Well, starting with the part of your question that had to do with the pickup in consumption that we've seen following the end of COVID measures. in China, obviously we're following that situation very closely, just like all of you, just like everybody else. But in my script earlier, I did lay out as detailed and comprehensive a picture as I could. January certainly was still a challenging time through the Spring Festival, especially with people traveling widely in large numbers across the country. Life and work, however, began to normalize around the time of the Lantern Festival and thereafter, with improvement in consumption sentiment, indeed as expressed in consumption behavior. And I also shared with you the impact that had in different categories, including apparel, sports, outdoor, and health. Certainly what we see across all merchants is a strong desire to get back to business. They want to have a bumper year in 2023 to make up for everything they lost over the past 3 years. That's certainly a shared hope across the board for all the merchants. Of course, since that resumption of normalcy, if you like, it's only been a short time. It's just been about half a month. So we do need to keep our eyes on how that ongoing picture continues to develop. But certainly we are optimistic about continued improvement in the situation. The other part of your question had to do with market competition and price subsidies. Look, price subsidies are nothing new. Every couple of days, somebody out there comes up with a bright idea to try to engage in heavy price subsidies in order to win more opportunities and turn around their business. But I think if you take a clear-eyed look at history, no player ever has managed to achieve that kind of turnaround by relying on price subsidies. What it takes really is technology innovation, which in turn empowers a business model innovation. At the end of the day, it's really about merchants being able to provide to consumers the best products at the best prices in a way that is sustainable in the long term, so that the merchant can make a return and continue to invest in a sustainable cycle. So Alibaba has a lot of experience in empowering merchants to do that. We also have experience in utilizing platform mechanisms to enable sustainable growth. And as Toby said in his script, we have deep pockets with $55 billion in cash. So we can continue to leverage these approaches to create value for users and maintain our leadership position in the market.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you. The next question is from Eddie Leung from Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Please go ahead.
晚上好，想问一个关于本地生活的一个问题我们也听到这饿了么的 UE 也持续的一个转正。可是我们也知道这有一些短视频的一个平台对本地生活或者同场这方面的业务也放了蛮多的一个资源。那我们在电商方面也看过这一些短视频平台其实也改变了整个竞争的格局。所以想问一问，这从本地生活来讲，我们以前就一直是一个其中一个比较大的一个龙头。所以想问一问，在这方面我们有什么可能的一个策略或是一些方法去做比较好的应对一些竞争呢？谢谢。
Yes, thank you for taking my question, management. My question has to do with local services. We understand that there's been a turnaround in unit economics and Alibaba now has positive UE continuing to improve. But at the same time, we understand that there are various short-form video platforms that are also now investing heavily in local services, and this could lead to further changes in the competitive landscape. So I'm wondering if you could talk to us, please, about your strategy for local services going forward to continue to maintain and strengthen that leadership position.
好 idea， 这个问题呢是这样啊，就是这个本地生活呢，我们把它简单的看分成两大类，一大类是一个 to home business， 一个是 to store 或者叫 to destination， 对吧 ？store 是 destination 的一种。 那其实我们的观点很清晰，对于整个这个 to destination 其实这个任何的媒体，包括现在的这个 short form video 它作为一个媒体，它实际上对一个 destination 对一个 shop 对一个服务这个地面的一个地方的服务，它有一个推广的作用这个推广的作用当然可以是买券可以是订购可以是预约这些，但是它本质上它是个 media ads 这个只不过在 media ads 上，最终你可以说最终去完成这个订购但是你再怎么在短视频上订购，最终履约还是要到店里去这是肯定的。所以本质上它还是个广告生意所以从这个角度上，我们认为到店里去的生意这个从这个任何的媒体，有影响力的媒体，有用户的媒体，都会对去店里的生意当中找到它的机会这个而在阿里来讲，我们其实是到店里去，到目的地去，我们是另辟蹊径来做的。我们是把高德刚才我也讲到了，我们其实还是整个高德的这几年的 transformation 还是非常的这个进展还是非常顺利我们已经成功的从只是一个地图工具，走向了一个基于地图上的搜索到发现到履约到交易到履约完整的这么一个到目的地的这么一个服务平台这个现在我们主要的像打车也好，酒店预订也好，包括加油充电桩这些跟车服务有关的品类都已经受到用户这个非常大的一个欢迎和渗透。所以在这块上面，我们用我们的方法在做，而这个方法我想是任何的其他的类型的媒体所很难做的这个第二个这个本地生活的领域是这个 to home， 这也是你刚才问到的饿了么的这个领域。确实我们饿了么经过过去这个几年的这个努力，我们现在我认为在一个正确的轨道上我们的不仅是我们在这个优异在这个已经持续转正，而且继续向好同时我们的这个订单量、用户数这个用户的粘性都在变得更好但是我们认为这样这个 to home 的 business 本质上是一个本地的这个本地的一个这个电商餐饮外卖是这个电商的一个品类零售、药品快消品、食品都是其中的一个品类。它最终需要的是本地供给、本地需求和本地履约能力三者之间在特定的时间的上面的完整统一在这件事情上只具有媒体性质是发挥不了任何主导的作用这个必须是在这个上面，我想无论是饿了么还是其他的这个 player， 我想在这个上面我们都需要去建任何有志于做本地的 to home business 的这个企业，都必须在如何这个整合本地供给，如何运营本地需求，如何建设本地的这个履约能力上，而且这些三者必须在一个时空交叉点上在空间上是本地，在时间上某一个时间点必须完成这个交互形成化学反应。在这一点上，我想是任何的纯媒体只靠做媒体做推广是很难实现。所以这也是我们的一个巨大的信心。所以我们今天在我们主要经营的城市，我们都在取得好的进展，因为它有一个本地化的特点。主要经营这个50个城市和主要经营100个城市，它的侧重点是完全不一样这个我们还是聚焦于我们重点经营的城市，把我们的事情做好，取得这个用户的信任获得用户的长期这个生意的长期增长。谢谢。
Well, when it comes to local services, as you know, there are really two different kinds of services, to home and to store or to destination, because a store is one kind of possible destination. So starting with to destination, any media platform, be it short form video or other kind of media, can find ways to develop a to destination business in the context of local services. They can promote a local destination, be it a store or something else, through their media offering. They can allow consumers to place an order, but when it comes to fulfillment, you still have to physically go to the store to fulfill your order. So certainly any media that has any kind of influence with an audience can find opportunities to do that, to drive traffic to a physical location like a store. But Alibaba has opened up a whole new paradigm on the to destination front with the important transformation and very successful transformation of AMAP that we've succeeded in realizing over the past few years, taking it from a simple map tool to a map and location enabled offering that spans search, discovery, and fulfillment. And today, AMAP has achieved very high penetration in a whole range of categories that we've talked about, from ride hailing through to hotel reservations, through to gas stations, and indeed finding electric charging facilities for new energy vehicles. And I don't think that's something that any other kind of media platform could accomplish. Now, the other piece when we talk about local services is to home, and Ele.me is part of that section of local services. You mentioned Ele.me in your question. And indeed, following several years of hard work, I think Ele.me very much is on the right track. Unit economics are positive and continue to improve. Things continue to move in the right direction in terms of the number of orders, the number of users, as well as the unit economics. So when we talk about to home, this is local or neighborhood e-commerce. So deliveries from restaurant to home are one example of that, but it's not just restaurant food orders. It could also include things like medicine. It could include groceries or other kinds of daily essentials. But to succeed in this space, you need to be able to successfully integrate local neighborhood supply, neighborhood demand, and neighborhood level fulfillment all in one place at the same time. And again, this is something that certainly no media outlet could ever possibly hope to achieve. And this is where Ele.me has been a great success, because you need to be able to integrate in real time that local supply, the local demand, and the local fulfillment capabilities. They all need to intersect in the space-time continuum in a single coordinate in a way that achieves chemical synergy. So that's far beyond the capabilities of any media-oriented player. We continue to successfully grow our local services business in the priority cities we've identified. And of course, your business will look very different if you're going after 50 cities versus 100 cities. We continue to focus on the key cities that we've identified, continuing to improve the service to win and build confidence with consumers and drive long-term growth.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you. The next question is from Jiong Shao from Barclays. Please go ahead.
谢谢管理层接受我的问题。刚才这个 Toby 也提到，我们一个季度这个 free cash flow 是超过了11个 billion US dollars。我们也留心到最近公司在 divest 和 monetize 一些 investment such as 印度的 Paytm。那么公司也在上个季度回购了 3.3个 billion 的buyback。那我就在想问，在公司的 increase shareholder value 和 return 的时候，有没有还有别的方法？比方说有没有考虑过 dividends 啊？有没有考虑过 increase share buyback program 啊？谢谢。
Thank you, management. Toby, you said that in the past quarter, free cash flow exceeded 11 billion US dollars, and we know that there are other initiatives underway within Alibaba to monetize on certain investments. And in the last quarter, you conducted 3.3 billion US dollars of share buybacks under the buyback program. But I'm wondering, what other potential methods could be available for Alibaba to increase shareholder value, to increase returns to shareholders? Are there any other things you could be doing? For example, considering distributing dividends or further expanding the scale of the share buyback program?
谢谢您的问题，我来回答一下。您刚提到2点嘛，第一个的话，我们可能也会看，大家可能也从那个媒体上看到，我们会这个divest 一些我们的投资。那我想先回答这个问题，这个其实是一个作为一个 corporate， 我觉得比较正常。On one hand， 我们会进行很多的战略投资，那也会在合适的时点进行一定的退出。那我觉得这个其实跟我们整体的投资的整个战略的设定，我觉得都是相关的。所以我想这个挺正常的一个，我们投的同时也会有一定的退出。那回来的话，您提到那个关于 share buyback， 那回来我想这个 overall 大家可能在这个上季度的时候，我们当时也提到过，我们 upsize 了我们的整体的这个 share buyback 的 program， 从原来的25个 billion US dollar upsize 了15 billion， 现在是整体是有40 billion US dollar 这样一个 share buyback program。然后在上个 quarter 里面，就在 December quarter 里面，我们也做了差不多33亿美金的这样一个 buyback。那 overall 我们还是把这个 share buyback consider 是一个现在给到 shareholder 的 return 的一个比较好的方法。同时我们现在还有差不多210亿美金的这个 share buyback 的 quote， 我们可以 continue to use。所以我想在这个阶段可能还不是最关键，我们需要继续去考虑要不要 upsize， 更好的是用好董事会给我们的这个剩下来的210亿美金，做好我们的 buyback， 在合适的时点做好我们的 buyback， 可能这个对我们来讲是目前可能更重要的一个任务吧。
Thank you for your question. You touched on a couple of things. First, as you all will have seen from various media reports, we have been divesting some of our investments. I think that's normal for any corporate. Any company that's making a lot of strategic investments is also at some point going to make a timely exit from those investments, and that's indeed part of the original plan. When you make those kinds of strategic investments, you are planning on exiting at a certain point. You also talked about our share buyback program. In fact, it had already been upsized as previously announced. It had been a $25 billion program, and as we spoke about last time, that was increased by 15 billion to a total of 40 billion US dollars. In the December quarter, we bought back another 3.3 billion US dollars of shares, and we do think that pursuing the share buyback program is a good way to return value to our shareholders. Now, under the existing already enlarged share buyback programs, we still have a remaining quota of 21 billion US dollars to be deployed. So at this point in time, no, we are not considering further expanding that quota. Rather, what's on our minds at this point in time is how we can best make use of that remaining quota of 21 billion US dollars, how to deploy it and when to deploy it in line with the authorization given to us by the board of directors in order to further enhance shareholder value.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you. The next question is from Alicia Yap from Citigroup. Please go ahead.
Thank you. 谢谢管理层接受我的提问。我想跟进一下 Daniel 刚刚说的一个，就是我们会把更多的精力投资在一些技术的创新，来引入更好的一些新的商业模式。想请 Daniel 再跟我们量化一下，譬如说，在今年我们会看到哪一些业务会取得比较明显的一些改善，譬如说，这会反映在譬如说 TMR 会有一个加速的增长呢，还是说会反映在云技术上，会让我们就是取到更好的一些客户，或者是在云的这个收入上有一点明显的增长，还是说在本地生活这边会有一些就是增长在技术上？所以能请 Daniel 再跟我们细分一下，就是说这个新的技术在您说的这些商业模式，我们会在哪一些业务会看到？谢谢。
Thank you. I'd like to follow up on Daniel's earlier remark about how Alibaba intends to continue to focus on and invest in technological innovation as a means to create new business models and new opportunities for the businesses. I'm just wondering if you could break that down for us a little bit and explain which of the businesses this year we can expect to see adopting new technological innovations that lead to new business models and new opportunities that will, for example, result in accelerated CMR growth or boost cloud revenue, or will it perhaps be in local services where these breakthroughs will be made? But I'd appreciate it if Daniel could give us some more color on a segment-by-segment basis.
好的 Alicia， 那个我就讲一下，我觉得这个技术这个对商业的增长的这个拉动作用其实是一直在发生的，那这个一直贯穿在阿里的历史当中。那我想你这个展望未来呢，我觉得主要我们看到几个大的机会第一个呢，我觉得确实这个 AI 技术的发展，特别是现在这个生成式 AI 的这个发展成为一个全世界的热潮。那在这个热潮当中，我想最重要的还这个并不是说大家能够有一个对话式的一个机器人，而是说怎么样把它融合在自己的各自的这个业务场景当中。那对阿里来讲，我们在消费我们在用户体验，在内容的生成和理解在广告的这个效率的提升，在这些方面，我想这个广义的 AI 其实这个是能够发挥巨大的作用其实这个我想一直这个对这一块来讲，一直是我们重点这个投入的方向同时在这个过程当中，如何能够形成这个对这个不仅是供需匹配的效率的上升，也是能够提高这个商家的推广的这样的一个效率我想这个方面包括这个我们对作为平台也好，商家也好，对客户的服务效率和体验，我觉得这些方面都这个能够让这个 AI 的全方面的应用那么对云来讲我想我们的另外一个大战略，这个云来讲，其实更是也是这样，就是说对整个的这个云计算包括这个云计算大数据这样的一个发展，其实对于处理大数据的能力的提升，我们今天的阿里云已经建立了这个广泛的 IaaS 和 PaaS 的产品也是建设了这个基于大数据平台上，我们这几年也在大力的建设这个预训练的模型这些方面我们也高兴的看到跟我们的判断跟世界的大的趋势这个这个是完全一致的。那么如何这个在这个中间利用好我们的大数据云计算的能力，能够服务好这样的一个新的趋势其实是带来这个算力的几何级数的增长下找到我们自己的机会。所以我想这个是我们也是这个努力的目标包括我想刚才这个 AI 我再补充一点，可能你刚才的问题里边这个潜台词也比较关心，比如对广告的效率，对平台的这些效率。那其实今天对物流供应链，包括刚才我说的在本地生活领域，如何能够让这个需求在一个时间窗口内，在一个地方对于需求的整理这个用户的这个供给的这个匹配和履约能力的匹配调度这其实都是对这个 AI 提出了全新的场景这个所以在这些方面我们都是在积极的去努力希望能够把它变成一个全新的商业能力。
Well, driving business growth with technology has been a constant theme for Alibaba throughout its history. But looking to the future, there are certainly several big opportunities for us that we can already see clearly. The first is around AI and lately generative AI has become a hot topic around the world, but we're not talking about having a chatbot for the sake of a chatbot. Rather, we're talking about integrating that capability deeply into the business around consumption, around user experience, for content generation, to drive higher advertising effectiveness. AI can play a huge role in all of those different areas, and we have been working on that and continue to do so. Also, when it comes to how to match supply and demand more effectively, how to achieve higher effectiveness in terms of marketing and promotion, how to achieve higher efficiency and better user experience around different services. All of those are places where we can leverage AI to make huge improvements. So that's the first part of the answer. But beyond that, when we talk about cloud computing and big data, Alibaba has substantial capabilities in terms of providing processing power. We have the IaaS and PaaS offerings. But when we look at the future, and we also have, of course, our large pre-training model for AI, and what we're seeing today with recent developments is that the view that we took on the future has panned out and proven to be consistent with what's happening in the market. But going forward, there's going to be exponential growth in demand for computing power to support these kinds of AI applications, and Alibaba is ready to provide precisely that kind of computing power. So that is a big opportunity for us as well. And then just to add another word, because I think implicit in your question was a concern around advertising revenue. AI can be leveraged in the ways that we talked about earlier when we talked about supply chains and local services to better match local demand with fulfillment capabilities and local supply in a certain time window, and to make that a whole local or neighborhood-based digital commerce scenario run much more efficiently. And we will continue to be working in those directions to grow our business. These are opportunities.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you. The next question is from Jerry Liu from UBS. Please go ahead.
谢谢管理层。晚上好。对，我也有2个问题啊。我第一个是想问一下这个 take rate 这个问题，也就是我们这个淘宝天猫这边的这个 GMV 对比 CMR 的这个增速。那之前这1-2个季度因为这个有一些这个退货的原因，导致这个 CMR 增速比 GMV 低一些。我是在想，那最近如果看到消费的恢复的话，我们这个季度或者最近这几个季度这2个增速的这样的一个关系，会不会看到一定的变化 ？CMR 增速有没有可能甚至比 GMV 要高一些？然后第2个问题 ，Daniel， 我想回到刚才您之前提到的这个就是阿里云 Interim Head 这个职位。在最近这2个月您对这个云业务可能中长期或者短期的一些策略，一些这个运营重点等等有没有做出任何的这个调整？谢谢。
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. My first has to do with take rates. Looking at GMV and CMR growth on Taobao and Tmall over the past few quarters, we understand that there have been special circumstances that have changed the relationship between the two. But looking forward, to this quarter or even the few quarters to follow, do you think we will expect to see any change in the relationship between the growth rate of GMV and CMR? And could CMR grow faster than GMV in the next few quarters? Second question to Daniel has to do with your assuming the position of interim or acting head of Alibaba Cloud Intelligence. I'm wondering, since you've taken up that role, what new strategies or new initiatives have you put in place for the cloud business? What changes have you made to the strategies and initiatives of that cloud business?
好，谢谢 Jerry 你的问题，然后我来回答第一个问题，然后把第二个问题留给 Daniel。第一个问题，您的问题是关于这个我们 CMR 的这样一个这个变动的 ratio 跟 GMV 的变化。那这个您理解，就是因为我们之前也披露了这个当中的一个差异，最主要还是因为退货的率比较高。那我这里很快解释一下，因为我们披露的 GMV 是一个支付 GMV。那支付之后的话，当它有物流的等等影响之后，可能从消费者的角度就会要退货，所以退货 GMV 的整个增长，当你在存在物流有很大问题的时候，它的退货率比较高的时候，所以它的退货 GMV 的一个增长或者下跌会比这个整个的支付 GMV 会更高一些。那如果从那个年度 year over year 的这样一个情况来看，那最近整个物流，刚刚 Daniel 在他的 script 也提到，整个物流是恢复了。我们回来也看得到，整个物流的恢复会带来整个的这个退货率的一个下降。那我们确实开始看到了这样一个趋势，就是在整个的这个pay GMV 的一个变化的一个 ratio 跟我们整个的一个 CMR 的一个变化的 ratio 之间的这个 gap。是在一个被 narrowing down， 所以这个我想回答您一个问题，就是我们进来看到这样一个趋势啊。那第二个问题，我想我留给 Daniel。
Well, on your first question regarding the relationship or the ratio between CMR and GMV, we discussed this issue previously, and just to recap briefly, the issue of late really has been the high rate of order returns due to, among other things, logistics disruptions. Because when we talk about GMV, we're talking about paid GMV, but after the consumer has made payment and after logistics and fulfillment, the consumer, well, if logistics don't work out, there's a logistics problem, the consumer will return the good. So overall, what we're seeing now is, of course, recovery in logistics and declining return rates. So I think what we're seeing now, it's fair to say that the ratio or the gap between paid GMV and the CMR is narrowing.
好，我讲一下第二个问题啊，就是确实这个云这个无论从产业发展来讲，云的产业今天在中国乃至在全球都是一个这个历史性的机会同时对阿里来讲也是一个极端的战略重要性基于这两点，就是大家也知道我这个现在去兼任这个云的总裁这个那我自己也是对这件事情非常 passionate 我觉得这样的这个历史机会不可辜负必须要抓住这样的历史机会。这个那现在我想在云的来讲，这个我们今天的云的阿里云经过过去的这个几任总裁的这个前赴后继的努力这个10几年的建设，已经是一个在中国第一、全球第一梯，并且在全球也是第一梯队的这个被公认的这个云计算厂商，我们有一个很好的一个市场地位和这个打下的一个结实的基础。在这个基础上，我觉得面向未来，我觉得今天这个我们还是要第一个还是要回到这个云的根本云的根本的问题，就是说我们作为这个客户的这个数字化的基础设施这个算力的基础设施，还是要这个保持我们一贯的这个高可用的高标准安全性的高标准这个在高可用这个稳定安全上能够超越客户的期望，满足客户的期望，我想这个是我们的非常重要的立身之本。第二点，我觉得阿里还是必须要重视这个公有云的发展今天其实这个市场上，尤其在中国市场上我一直的观点，谈云的概念很多，其实每个人谈的这个云的这个 definition 可能都不太一样今天什么是真正的云计算我觉得我们还是要这个立足中国，放眼世界，用全球最高的标准来要求自己，不断的进行这个技术突破从20层到80层的这个云的核心产品的技术突破这个在性能上，在成本上能够做到不仅中国领先，乃至全球领先。这个因为云是一个规模经济的生意，无规模不经济这个但是这个背后经济的从哪里来是来自于这个技术红利 所以我觉得技术突破还是关键，而且只有在这样的情况下，我觉得才能够真正让客户用云不仅用好云，而且是能够在用好云的这个能力上，并且能够也有足够的经济效益那第三点，我觉得在云计算的发展当中，我们还是要充分的重视公有云的发展这个公有云是具有规模化的这样的一个效应的，并且这个如何把云边端更好的结合起来，服务产业互联网的发展这个特别是一些新兴的这个数据密集型的全新产业的机会我想这也是我们必须要积极去这个争取的这个最后呢，我觉得这个新的产业热潮层出不穷，新的技术层出不穷前面已经讲了好几次我这里不再重复，怎么样能抓住现在这个高性能计算这个以高性能计算为基础的这样的一个generative AI 的这样的一个机会因为这样的这种任何的大模型的 deployment 和运转离不开算力的支持，而算力的支持网络这个芯片这个部署解决方案其实它是一个全套的东西我想我也看到这个其他的这个世界的厂商也都在讲这个问题这个对阿里来讲，我们也高度重视这样的一个机会并且希望能够把它转换成一个对算力的一个增长的一个实际的一个成果。谢谢。
Secondly, on the question about cloud, we see the development of this industry not only in China but worldwide as an absolutely historic opportunity, and this is an opportunity of extreme strategic importance to Alibaba. So I'm extremely excited to take up the helm and be personally in charge of Alibaba Cloud at this important juncture. This is something I'm extremely passionate about, and we absolutely must not fail to seize and capitalize on this crucially important historic opportunity. We have an excellent foundation in Alibaba Cloud today, thanks to the hard work of the previous presidents of that business unit over the past 10 years or so. We're already now number one in China and one of the top cloud vendors indeed in the world, with an excellent market position and a strong foundation to build on. Building on that foundation going forward, I think one of the first things we have to do is get back, if you like, to the essence of the cloud, the fundamentals of the cloud, which is leveraging cloud to make available computing power. We need to ensure that we're doing that with extremely high availability, high security, make sure that we're consistently exceeding customer expectations around stability and security. So that's point one. Point two, I think we need to place emphasis on public cloud offerings. When we talk about cloud, it's not often clear that we're all necessarily even talking about the same thing. There are so many different definitions of cloud out there. What is cloud computing? Well, I think for Alibaba, we need to be firmly rooted in China, but also have a global vision and ensure that we're making breakthroughs in fundamental core capabilities around IaaS and PaaS, so that we will not only be a leader in China, but be a leader worldwide. Cloud computing is an industry that's built on scales of economy. If you have no scale, then you have no economy. So we need technology breakthroughs to achieve those economies of scale. We need to be able to enable our users not just to use cloud, but to use cloud well and to achieve demonstrable economic benefit from leveraging those cloud offerings. We need to be paying a lot of attention to public cloud and further drive scale there. This is a very important part of serving the digitalization of industry and providing cloud-based compute power, especially for data-intensive sectors. And then I know I've already touched on this quite a few times already, but another very important point is with generative AI and its more broad-based application in the near future, we can expect to see very rapid growth in demand for high-performance computing power. You need infrastructure to be able to power that, and the infrastructure needs to be integrated from chip through network through to compute power. And all the global vendors are talking about that, but we in Alibaba see this as an extremely important opportunity, and we intend to fully capture it.
Okay. And thank you, everyone, for your time to listen today. That concludes today's earnings call. All the replay and transcript will be available on our website in this week. We look forward to meeting you and engaging with you in the coming months, and look forward to speak to you next quarter. Thank you.
Thank you. That does conclude our conference for today. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.